Let's talk about guitar solos today. I want to show you 6 easy tricks that will greatly improve your lead guitar playing. Working with this simple checklist will bring you awesome results immediately. And I prepared some awesome licks for you that you can use as exercises from now on. To hopefully eliminate all your current guitar solo roadblocks. Let's do this. I want to play a guitar solo for you right away. This is the first guitar solo from the first song of my first album, Elevation. It will be finally out very soon, later this year. The first music video and single will drop on April 23rd, so make sure that you're subscribed with notifications on so that you don't miss it. This is the intro solo from the opening track, The Kindling. As always, you can download the tabs, guitar profiles and backing tracks of this solo on patreon.com/BERNTH in case you want to learn it. I highly suggest it. So the album opener is quite fast and energetic, and I start with a short solo right away. There are actually a lot of really interesting details and secrets hidden in there that I want to show you right now. Trick number 1 is called dynamics. I'm aiming for a balance of high adrenaline shredding and melodic hooks with my guitar solos, and I think this take serves as a pretty good example for that. I'm working with the E Phrygian dominant scale right here that has a really cool exotic sound to it, and what's interesting about the phrasing is the inclusion of 2 quick breaks after the first 2 parts. As you can see, I'm placing these quick breaks after the first melody and after the first scale run. This leaves a bit of room for the solo to breathe, and I really like how those very different parts mirror each other this way. I don't want to impress you with a super fast, mindless run that lasts for over 30 seconds right away. I want to build some tension and suspense first to hopefully hook you for the entire duration of the song. The second trick is about intervals and overlapping notes. This is something I'd love to hear more often out there in the rock and metal guitar world. We often only think in single notes when it comes to guitar solos, like playing scales or arpeggios with sweep picking. But a really easy way of spicing up your guitar solos immediately is the inclusion of overlapping notes, or intervals in other words. This opens a completely new door when it comes to unique phrasing and lick ideas. Please listen to the first measures of the guitar solo once again with me and pay close attention to all the intervals I included in there aside from the single notes. So within the first measures I'm already playing a crazy sounding minor second interval. So that sounds really crazy. And then I move up to a major third and a perfect fourth. So here's the entire phrase. And a bit later I'm working with the open high E string to play a unison interval. A major third if I see E as the root note. And then a minor 7th, so the full phrase sounds like that. These very interesting sounds really tie the melodies and the shredding together, and a lot of players, including myself, are guilty of not doing this all too much. So please make sure not to just think in single notes and scale boxes when you're playing guitar solos or when you're improvising. As an awesome exercise, you can just visualize a scale position you remember and only work with intervals in your next improvisation sessions. Depending on the situation, of course, this can sound much more interesting than common phrasing like that. I think we all heard that somewhere before. Let's talk about fast scale runs and shredding. I personally love the sound of that, of course, but you do have to be a bit careful so that you don't sound like you're practicing your scales over the track. So one of my personal biggest goals is getting a bit more creative with these runs. The first one I played is actually a pretty good example. Instead of playing something like that, So really just ascending in the scale, just playing it up. I worked with this pattern that sounds a bit more interesting. I think this sounds a bit more fresh and exciting. I'm also doing something similar with the final phrase, this time it's just a small detail. Instead of just descending, I play a shorter phrase and then I just repeat it. Those are two really awesome alternate picking exercises in case you're currently looking for some workouts. Of course, those licks go by very fast, but I think you have a real chance to sound unique and to stand out if you focus on the details like that. On to the next topic. This trick requires a bit of theory knowledge. If you're new to music theory or if you want to improve your knowledge when it comes to that, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now. Nothing has changed, still around 70% of you guys and girls are not part of our awesome YouTube community yet, and you keep missing tons of tips that will really help you out with guitar technique and theory. So one concept I can really recommend is harmonizing your melodies. You can actually hear some harmonies right at the beginning of the guitar solo in the studio track. But I'd like to talk about the diminished arpeggios I'm playing a bit later. Harmonizing them is actually really easy and it will get you that classic evil and very suspenseful sound. As you might know, you can move diminished arpeggio shapes and chord shapes symmetrically across the neck. If you move a diminished shape up or down a minor third, you always end up with the same notes in a different order. So diminished licks are perfectly easy to harmonize. Let's listen to how cool this harmonized sweep picking arpeggio part sounds. So all I did to harmonize this diminished arpeggio part was moving this exact shape up a minor third. So I just took this exact shape and moved it up a minor third. This results in those easy and really cool sounding harmonies. That also goes for all kinds of other melodies, of course. If you can visualize the scale around the notes that you play, you can just experiment with harmonizing your melody by playing thirds or fifths, or maybe fourths or sixths for a more fusion-like sound. Just experiment with this and try to harmonize your next awesome melody by working with your chosen scale notes. Let's check out one of my favorite concepts now, dissonance and color. Dissonant sounds are an acquired taste, of course, but at one point I absolutely fell in love with them. So as you might know by now, I really love the sound of minor seconds. But I always had issues with including them in my solos without sounding too strange or out of place completely. An easy solution is just finding those dissonant sounds in the scale shapes that you're working with. If those two notes are actually part of your harmonic context, you can always try to go for them. It won't work every time, but your chances are much better than with just randomly trying to sound dissonant or outside on purpose. Another example is the diminished section we just looked at. The notes of these diminished arpeggios are actually all part of the scale, and that's what makes them work. So my suggestion is experimenting freely with dissonant intervals and augmented or diminished sounds in your practice routine. And if your ears develop a taste for them, make sure to include them in your guitar solos. This might really differentiate you from players that just stick to normal and kind of boring sounds all the time. The last and probably most important topic is improvisation. I did not come up with this solo by sitting down with pen and paper and writing down every single note and measure after measure. I initially just improvised over this riff for many hours, and I also recorded a lot of these takes in Cubase. I was always saving ideas that I liked, and I was building the solo part by part this way. Any kind of recording software is extremely helpful when it comes to that. I can always just loop the riff in Cubase and play hundreds of takes, and then I can just put the guitar down for a while and revisit all of these takes, and that way I can slowly build the full guitar solo. So I really like combining improvisation, meaning coming up with spontaneous ideas and phrases on the spot, with thought out structures for the solo and tension curves that keep things interesting. Now concerning my upcoming album, Elevation. My VIP patrons are the only people that know about this already, so I'm extremely excited to reveal the box set we put together. Aside from the regular Digipack version, this box set comes with tons of great merch, like 4 practice posters with scales, chord theory and much more, plus one really cool Elevation poster if you want me staring at your fingers when you're practicing. This awesome looking autograph card that I will personally sign for you, of course. And we also have a limited special edition featuring a free Elixir Strings OptiWeb set, Those are the exact same strings that I use for many years now, and some awesome looking Ibanez Jazz Free Size grip picks. So the ultimate tools to shred, to improve your sound and your technique skills. The first single and really cool music video will drop on April 23rd, so make sure to check that out. Of course, you will be able to pre-order the album very soon, and as always, the Patreon community will know about all the details first. I honestly can't wait to show you more. This all took around 4 years to complete, and I could not be happier with the end result. So thanks a lot for watching this video until the end. I will hopefully see you in the next one. All the best and have a lot of fun shredding until then.